Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm going to read to you the definition from dictionary.com of the word genocide. The deliberate and systematic extermination of a national, racial, political, or cultural group. So let me ask you this. Let me get this microphone situated here. Um, a nation of over 41 million people, and since the start of the war over there in Ukraine through March 5th. And these numbers I'm getting from the UN, so they would be, I would think, pretty reliable. Not that I think the UN's reliable on everything, but they seem to be on the side of the Ukraine in this conflict. And they're saying that 364 civilians have been killed. Now, 364 civilians out of a population, a country with a population of over 41 million. Now, I myself, am I taking sides in this war? This really doesn't matter what side I'm taking, if any, right? Obviously, I'm not in favor of countries invading other countries, but I live in a country that's has a pretty uh, consistent track record of sending its military into other countries and killing people for a variety of reasons, some of which some people would say are bullshit reasons. Um, but I'm talking about this because I'm just here to say that this whole situation with the Russia-Ukraine war, it's just non-stop propaganda, misinformation, disinformation from both sides. You got the likes of Lindsey Graham out there calling for the assassination of Putin. Well, I'm not saying that he shouldn't think that, but to get up there on TV and call for it, yeah, that's not a very wise thing to do. Regardless of what you think of Lindsey Graham, you got to think that that's not a smart thing to do. What if for uh, someone over in Russia decides that Putin's, getting out of control here and it's causing Russian people and economy a lot of pain by doing what he's doing, and they think they need to stop, and so they decide to take him out of their own accord. Well, the fact that you had a United States senator out there calling for the assassination, now things start to get fishy because you might have people pointing the finger back to the U.S. and alleging responsibility for it. Then you got the likes of certain law tube folks who are, uh, intelligent people, smart, knowledgeable, but they get up there and spout stuff as if they're an expert in international affairs. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you get up on blast on your platform stating your opinion like it's a fact, you know. I don't think that's a wise thing to do. And to get your information from a couple dudes who've got a YouTube channel of their own and who've consistently gotten things wrong from many different ways. I just, all I'm saying is with regards to this situation, you got the very suspicious dealings of the Biden crime family, and the Pelosi's are in on it, and you got that Mormon cat from Utah. I could picture his face, but I can't think of his name right now. But you guys know who I'm talking about. The guy with the binders of women, right? And he got pilloried by the freaking Democrats for that, but now he's all buddy buddy kissing Democrats' ass all the time. A lot of people got unfounded accusations, but they're putting it out on blast on their social media. And I'm not even going to repeat some of this stuff because, I mean, it's a lot of these, basically, they seem like conspiracy theories that I know these days everyone says, oh, today's conspiracy theory is next year's fact. Well, All I'm asking is, if you're going to be posting stuff on your social media, come up with some evidence, a little bit of receipts here and there, not just these blanket statements, accusations against this politician or this government or whatever. It just sounds like made up bullshit to me. And you guys probably heard the stuff going on about, oh, this happened in Ukraine and this politician did this in Ukraine. And I'm not saying this shit ain't true. All I'm saying is if you're going to be uh, out there posting stuff, how about some links to where a credible source where you got this information from? We all have our own definition of what's a credible source, but it's just very hard to sift through all the BS when it comes to Ukraine. I've been watching some Fox News. They are horrible. Every day another one of those idiot pundits on Fox News or one of the politicians that they have up there spouting their bullshit. Every day, man, they're beating those war drums more and more. You got people on there calling for NATO and or the U.S. to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Hello, World War III, which, you got the Russian officials over there saying World War III will be a nuclear war. I mean, they're not being subtle about the hints that they're making. And if the U.S. isn't flying a no-fly zone, obviously that means the U.S. shooting down Russian planes. That's the beginning of World War III right there. And our so-called NATO allies, I don't trust any of them as far as I could throw it. Supposedly, Germany's waking up now and they're going to start spending some money for defense. And we'll see what happens with that. But, Trump tried to get these people to cough up money. I guess he had some success. NATO, they have this Article 5 where everyone's committed to an attack on one and an attack on all. Why would they live up to that commitment? My understanding is they all had a commitment to spend up to, what is it, 2%, 3%, something like that of their gross national product on military spending, and not a goddamn one of them met it, or most of them didn't. I don't know the exact numbers, but if I can't trust them to spend money for their own defense and they're only going to rely on the U.S. for that, how the fuck can I trust them to send their young men and women to die for the U.S. or for any other country? They've been relying on the U.S. for their defense for decades, right? And the good old U.S., these power-mad politicians running this country, loved it that way because it gave them power to pull strings, and it enriched the military-industrial complex. And I'm sure they were all getting kickbacks just like they do from big pharma. And so now we got the news coming out that, what was it, Moderna had a patent on some type of viral DNA, and they found part of that patented DNA in the COVID virus. So obviously that shit, wasn't what we were told. I'm going to cut short what I was about to say there because I think I was getting into the realm of, magic words and whatnot. But I think you guys are smart enough to figure out what that all means. But yeah, you got these Fox News idiots over there, not fucking almost every last one of them. Every day goes by, another one starts talking about U.S. needs to do a no-fly zone and we need to do this, that, and the other. Well, obviously we should cut the oil imports. I mean, Russia's big power is coming from their energy. You got the stupid ass Biden administration refusing to return the U.S. to energy independence because of their climate religion. And this isn't something Potato Joe believes in. We all know he's not all there, right? So he's only in that position. He got the DNC nod because they knew that he would do what he was told. And so you got this climate change cult, religion of environmentalism. I think some of these idiots actually believe that bullshit, and a lot of people out here in the streets that spout this crap you come across in everyday life, they actually believe that stuff, and they're just useful idiots because the people really calling the shots, they don't give a fuck about the environment. That's just another tool for them to implement their policies and to get what they want going on, right? Just like they used the common cold that looks like magically disappeared now that Putin invaded the Ukraine. Media won't cover anything about that other thing anymore, which is fine with me, but it's, magically disappeared now that the Democrats have another crisis, which they can use to their benefit and take more power, but this whole thing with Jen Psaki up there saying that the opening up the pipeline wouldn't really have an impact for years. Well, you ever hear about long-term planning, dumb bitch? I mean, these people can't fucking. And then she was on, what was it? One of the reporters asked her about drilling more on U.S. soil, and she tried to turn it on and tell you to blame the companies. There's 9,000 some leases or whatever it is that aren't being used to drill on. Maybe you should ask them. Well, somebody did ask them previously, and the response from these companies is, I'm not going to spend multi-million-dollar investment to set up my equipment over here on this chunk of land that I leased, and then 3 months down the road have it all shut down because this administration implemented new policies that won't allow me to drill. So when you have this administration being so hostile to fossil fuels that the companies that would be extracting the resources from the ground don't want to drill, then yes, Miss Psaki, it is the administration's responsibility to work with them so that the U.S. can be energy independent, and then maybe we'd have a better positioning to lead our so-called allies over there in Europe for them to stop doing any type of oil import from Russia. And it's such a small amount, trying to imply that it wouldn't be a big impact. Well, the economic impact for American citizens paying at the pump or the impact on Russia to hurt them, every bit helps. It's just a bad look. I mean, basically, people are out here saying that the United States is funding the war, the Russian war on Ukraine. I don't know what percentage of money that would be from the U.S. to Russia to fund it, but it's just wrong and it looks bad. So, anyways, just kind of wanted to talk about what's going on with this war in Ukraine, right? So, it's a big mess, right? We probably could have avoided being where we are now if we had an administration that had their shit together, that wasn't weak and confused and adhering to the climate change religion, but all this shit, I think it's intentional anyways. I mean, Obama's office, and he was talking about, he said once he wanted to have the prices of gas raised as high as possible so that people would be using less gas. I mean, we got a solution to fossil fuels, but the same people that won't let us, that don't want us drilling for oil, don't want to use nuclear, even though nuclear's zero carbon footprint. So that tells you, it ain't about the carbon footprint. It's about destroying the United States economy and the economy of Western countries, because these people hate the West, even though their philosophy they adhere to is a Western philosophy, created by Westerners. They won't acknowledge that. But, if they can destroy the U.S. and other Western nations, then they'll be able to implement the bullshit system that they want. Anyways, I think this was another one of my rambling videos because all this stuff's interconnected. So you start talking about the war between Russia and Ukraine, you're going to get into all kinds of stuff, right? So it ties into energy independence of the U.S. and it ties into those dumbass European countries being energy reliant on Russia. And you got to talk about those European NATO countries not pulling their own weight as far as uh, paying the percentage of their GDP that they said they would. And you get talking to about the economy here in the U.S. and the inflation. I mean, I think I mentioned the other day, it was a week or two ago, I paid $5 a gallon. And it tried to blame the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, using that say, oh, gas prices are out of, well, they were out of control already and getting worse. And this just made the situation worse. Bottom line is, if the U.S. was energy independent, and then we'd have some more leverage to tell our European friends, hey, don't get your energy supply from Russia, let them get it from us. But nonstop propaganda, misinformation, disinformation from anywhere you look for information on the war there. I mean, social media is notoriously bad source of information. Lamestream media, they just on overdrive the bullshit that they're spewing. I mean, I don't watch CNN or MSNBC or any of the three main networks just because I can't take the bullshit from them anymore. I do check out Fox News, but man, they're fucking just beating the war drum. And they had someone on there earlier today. I don't know who this woman was. Maybe it's someone I heard on the radio, but she going on and on about we have an obligation to Ukraine, this, that, and the other thing. And I mean, I'm not saying we didn't make some assurances to them. I think all the assurances between Ukraine and Russia and the U.S. and whoever else is involved with these things over the years since the fall of the Soviet Union, I don't think none of the people lived up to all of the commitments they made. But at the point we're at now, we can't treat Ukraine as they're a full-fledged member of NATO. I mean, people, hello, Russia has nukes. You got to back this guy up into a corner and leave him no options. And there are people out there saying, we need to have an off-ramp. You can't just expect Putin to fucking tuck his tail and go home. I mean, you got to give the guy some type of off ramp, to get us out of this situation. The thing of it is, if he does go into a NATO country, and at that point, we got commitments. We got to do what we got to do. Now, I don't know if I trust these other NATO countries to pull their own weight, but hopefully we don't have to see if it ever comes to that. All right, I rambled on enough about that whole situation. I'm going to end it here, and see you guys on the next one.